was just an Australian thing in general, or was it just...
Nothing against the country,
Okay.
but Hugh has this very nice manicured image out in the public, but in person, he is a monster. Sorry to burst anyone's bubble here if they were fans. Take his poster off your wall and call it a day. So, you know, I really am lucky to not only be a storyteller, but to, you know, have this sort of ability to work with people I learned from. When I was younger, I really did my best to absorb as much as I could from some of those people. Even Hugh Jackman, who I just, you know, insulted in front of a room of thousands of people. He was one of the first big movie stars I ever worked with back in 2008. And I remember, I'm going to be actually serious for a second about him. He was such a gentleman, and he was kind to everybody, and he knew every crew member's name, and you know, he really didn't differentiate in a hierarchical way. He just loved people, and I remember that really stayed with me at the perfect moment when I was most impressionable, and I needed to see that. So, and that, you know, if you pay attention, that keeps happening in different ways. But you know, Deadpool, the first Deadpool movie was what was sort of changed my life, but it happened in my mid-30s, so my frontal lobe had fully developed at that point. I wasn't a complete moron, and I was very lucky to be able to handle that experience, but also old enough at that time to be able to enjoy it as well. Like in a room right now, there are all sorts of people here from all over the world, and when, you know, I think film, and I think sports, and I think music are three of the last great arenas with which we can all come together, regardless of our differences, regardless of our politics, regardless of anything, and have this moment of collective effervescence. So when you're in a movie theater, I remember when we were in Deadpool Wolverine was coming out, and we got to go to Hall H in San Diego, the big Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, incredible experience, and show it for the very first time as kind of a surprise. And I remember that feeling of 6,000 people all at once, you know, gasping at something, or laughing at something, or crying at something, you know, and there's a feeling that is just like nothing else. And that's that collective effervescence, that's that feeling. So storytelling to me is at its best, it transcends whatever medium or genre it is. And it is more about this experience that we all get to share together at the same moment.
You said learning more about your life, from, you know, being an entrepreneur and owning businesses to owning football clubs to having the #1 R-rated film that has ever been made in the history of films, be it Deadpool. That's remarkable as well.
That feels pretty damn good, and I really, you know, like Deadpool's where my whole life changed. Not just because the movie worked, the first one back in 2016. It changed my life because I would work on big movies, and I would, you know, a movie might bomb, might be a disaster, you know, and I might have, while we were filming one of those movies, I might have had a point of view that I wanted to express, or I remember one in particular. I said, can we please spend some of this money on the writing, and not necessarily just the special effects? And you know, they might disregard what I have to say, and that's fine, because I'm not, in those movies I wasn't a producer, I wasn't a writer, I wasn't any of those things. But if the movie doesn't work, they don't say it was, you know, Phyllis Diller's movie that bombed. They say it was mine. So you know, at that point, I've been through that a few times, and I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna fail, I want to be the architect of my own demise. I don't want to fail on somebody else's creative watch. I wanted to have some authorship. And that's where Deadpool came in. So that's when I started really writing and producing. And the thing that I think differentiated it was that all those movies are made responsibly, you know, and by responsibly, I'm not talking about the content, because, you know, some of them you're not going to want your kids to see. What I mean by that is that fiscally responsible. I mean, we were, you know, very careful, and the first movie, we had $58 million to shoot it, which sounds like a lot, but for a superhero movie, that is nothing at all. So the idea that necessity became the mother of invention, and I suddenly felt like constraint was my friend, and I had to start rewriting and changing things to take away spectacle and all those things you see in an action movie and replace it with character, words, dialogue. These are the things that people actually remember not as much the the big show. And I just kind of carried that with me and onto the next. I did a Deadpool 2, and then a movie called Free Guy, which is another one that I was writing on and producing, and then this last one was Deadpool and Wolverine, was probably the most fun I've ever had, because I'm working with my closest friends in the world, Hugh Jackman, Sean Levy, who's directing. The studio is Disney now, yes. Who owns Marvel. The first two movies were Fox, because they had licensed Marvel, but then Disney bought, blah, 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 Fox. Not that we're here to hear about that.
But where does it sit? Will it sit?
But it freaked me out, because suddenly I'm making Disney and Marvel their first R-rated movie ever.
Wow.
So to have control or authorship over that is a big responsibility, but control is actually just another word for trust. I met with them, they trusted me. The movie was shot for probably less money than any Marvel movie in history, but I was, the part that was maybe a disruption is that I was trying to make a 4-quadrant R-rated movie, which means 4-quadrant means for anyone. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw rated R movies all the time, but there was nothing in Deadpool and Wolverine that was going to completely screw up a child's brain for the rest of his life. It was, we managed to sort of create a scenario in which everybody felt like they got what they wanted, but I wanted the experience to be for everybody, really. So the first weekend, parents came out, and then the next weekend they brought their kids with them. And I'm not saying it's a wholesome movie, but I'm also not saying it's it's going to cost parents therapy bills for the rest of their life either. And that I'm grateful. I will be grateful for the rest of my life that we got to make that movie and have that trust from the studio, and to make it in a way that the only note they had at the end was the head of Disney asked me to change one line in the whole movie. And that was it. And I've never felt more gratified and happy, and this is before it even came out, wow. To have made something like that with people I love so much. And Wesley Snipes, who came back to play Blade, and there's a seeing it at Comic-Con for the first time, having seen it with a huge audience for the first time, when he crossed into the frame, and the gasp that came out of that audience was probably the best feeling I've ever had in my life. And it's because it's redemption. He'd never got that moment to come back as this character that he defined himself. But it's not just redemption. It's an audience seeing someone they missed, but they didn't know they missed. And there's no feeling like that. Anyway, the whole movie's about redemption for everybody. But it was just a beautiful experience made with people that I just adore and love, and I hope to one day do it again. Maybe not for 5-6 years, but so yeah. 4 kids that I not only love, I actually like them. And I have a wife that I love and like as well. And
you did say the greatest moment of your life though was when Wesley Snipes appeared.
Yeah, I'm open about that with the kids and Blake. Yeah, nothing beats it. I'm sorry. No. I remember watching this movie with Jimmy Stewart. I forget what it's called. He's interviewing some young man who wanted to date his daughter, and he said, the young guy says, "Well, I love her, sir." And he says, "I'll never forget it." He says, "But do you like her?" And it was just the most romantic thing I'd ever heard, and I realized how lucky I am that I love and like my wife and my kids.
How much of Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson? I feel like for many of us, do we feel like it's the same sometimes?
Yeah. It's not.
It's not. No. But is there a presence of it from your own personal life that goes into Wade and vice versa?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the biggest inspiration I have for Deadpool is my kids. I mean, Deadpool, Wade Wilson, that character, he's a child. I mean, he's a kid. I mean, kids sort of experience, a much more polarity in their lives, right? It's like love or disaster, and everything is kind of like this over-the-top expression of either, and that's kind of that character. But Deadpool's is in some ways an alter ego, but I have always struggled, and I'm sure lots of people here struggle with anxiety, and it's normal to have anxiety, obviously, but sometimes it could get to a place where it's just not normal, and it's and for me that's always been kind of a coping mechanism. So when I'm going to go do something terrifying, step out on stage, or do a talk show that's a little dicey. I don't know how this is going to go. Like Dave Letterman, I used to get so worried going out for Dave Letterman because you never know how it's going to go. That kind of guy would take over and go, I got you. I'll go out there. I'll have the right jokes to say and the right, amount of all that stuff. And then I step backstage after I'm done, and I kind of feel like, whoa, I'm glad that that's over, and I'm glad that I have that other guy that can kind of handle it. So, yeah.
That's crazy. I love that. I love hearing that. You do so much, and there's many men and women in this crowd right now who are juggling, obviously, from the Global Freight Summit, logistics, getting things from A to B, timelines, demands, their bosses, anxiety. You do so much, Ryan Reynolds. And, from afar we see it, and it looks so beautiful to see on social media or on the big screen, but I'm sure there's a lot going behind the scenes. What advice do you give to someone who is juggling a lot?
Well, actually, over-functioning is kind of a symptom of anxiety a little bit. So you tend to do more and book yourself more than you maybe should. And it's one of the things Hugh Jackman and I have always related to with each other is that, we both, are the youngest of many siblings, and we've sort of, figured out how to stay alive. Because I was the youngest of 4 boys. I mean, I wasn't even considered a brother. I was a moving target. And you use your communication skills to kind of stay alive. It's not like I will be a people pleaser till the day I die. So I tend to do more than I should.
Like when you switch off, that's when feelings can happen?
Yeah, when I get home and I'm with my kid, your kids, like, I remember, this is the dumbest thing, but my kid was having a glass of water, and she wanted to put some ice in it, and she did it one by one, 5 chunks of ice. And I remember thinking, like, oh, could you imagine being that present, just to slowly, maturely plop one, and you learn from them to just be in the moment. It's easy to say, but it's very difficult. I lost a friend recently, and I was talking about him in a sort of pseudo kind of eulogy, and one of the things I was saying was that it's very hard for all of us to do, but to put your phone down for no, not you. Keep filming. Keep it out there. No, but to put some of those things aside for a minute. If you have someone that you love, you tell them that you love them. If you have someone that you absolutely hate, forgive them, because it's another way of winning that nobody talks about. And you sort of, I'm 48 now, I see how short this journey is. I watch the kids growing up, and these are the days, you don't get them again. And which is why I'm glad I had kids when I wasn't in my 20s, because I don't think I would have understood any of that. I was ambitious and trying to figure myself out, and so the time is fleeting, and I do drop that when I go home, and I try to make sure that I'm not on my phone, not doing anything but being present. And I'm not saying it's easy at all, but
great advice. Yeah. Really, really good. Round of applause for that.
Oh, wow.
All right. Yeah.
The guys aren't clapping, but they love it too. I never bet against Sandra Bullock, so I'm gonna say 2.
2, all right.
2, yeah.
Guys, you agree? Yeah. 1. Okay, well, hold. Okay.
Well, hold on. I was in Lawrence of Arabia and Citizen Kane. So if he gets there, we'll leave a little room, right?
I'm gonna say it.
Don't do it.
Gotta do it.
What is it? Green Lantern, yes. Okay.
Green Lantern.
Well, yeah. Here's surprising. This one, I would say 1. And do you know why? Because I don't think I'd have anything in my life that I value the way I value it if I hadn't had that experience and owned that experience and then really grew from it. I feel like I grew from that more than anything. And I didn't even see it until the pandemic. It was fine.
Really?
Yeah.
That many years later?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's taking any statues home or anything. Yeah, whatever. It's not offensive. It's fine.
Okay, so we've got Green Lantern number 1. I've locked that in.
Yeah, I know, right? It's confusing, but it is.
Okay, so Hitman's Bodyguard.
Oh my wow, you're really going in the deep.
I wanted to make it hard. but now-
Sam Jackson is one of the most fun, Samuel L. Jackson is one of the most fun people I've ever worked with in my entire life. Just grumpy. I love it. I love that. So I'm gonna go two. I'm gonna go two.
Okay, and then obviously Deadpool is going to sit at 3.
I don't like, yeah. Well, so I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed
Oh,
to.
we can't move them. We've locked
Oh,
them in.
sorry. Then I already did a 2 with the proposal. So Hitman's gets a 3. Deadpool gets a 4.
I mean,
Chris, I feel like we just played tic-tac-toe and it's a cat's game.
could we swap? I know that you learn a lot from Green Lantern, but could we swap?
Let's put Green Lantern. We'll swap.
Okay,
we'll put Green Lantern at number
should
6.
we swap Green Lantern to number 4 and Deadpool number 1? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Green Lantern's 41.
Okay, 41.
Okay, yeah. I think that's
41.
I think that's fair. Right?
Well, there we go. We did your blind rankings. I've always wanted to do that with you, so I'm glad that we got there.
It's deliciously humiliating.
We've only got a.
I had this question to Ryan. Like, all of us know Blake and you all are the like ultimate or the it couple out there, and you all have inspired so many. Not only in the film industry, but even business-wise. Betty Buzz, Wrexham Club. She's always there supporting you. So, how do you feel about that? To have a supportive partner who is there to support you in business, in work, and as well as at home. So.
Well, I mean, what am I supposed to say to
And
that?
it's
I'm
my
not-
story.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting, and the buck stops now. No, you know what? We both work together. And so many of the things that I've done that people love were authored by her, and vice versa. We just work together, and it's the best. And we like making each other laugh, and there's probably nothing better than that. And also, disgusting. It's just these relationships. No, I don't. It couple. I don't know if I'm going to say that's. I feel like once you're like a 13 or 14 years in, you can't really say it couple. That's
So for us,
Some Gen
you are
Z
the
couple.
it couple.
Well done.
Well,
Give her a big round of applause. That was beautiful.
And there was one other question. Someone, right there. No, it was you. I see you were the first one. The white shirt with the yeah. There we go. Yeah, sorry. All right. We're running out of time. I didn't mean to make this a cardio.
Steps.
I thought someone could just yell it and then.
Oh, you want to yell it? No. Yeah, come through. Step up
I'll
to this
repeat it
area.
if I hear it.
I just wanted to say that I love you so much.
I love you. The answer is I love you too.
Coming back just for that. Okay, hold
I
on.
know you ran all the way. Just for that. Okay, last one and then I gotta go. There's one more over there. You can yell it though, sir. Yeah. Oh, an actor. Honestly, I was just trying to get out of the house. I really was. My dad was a cop. I had 3 older brothers. They were all pricks. And I was just trying to stay alive. I love my brothers now, but back then they were horrible. So I was 13, and there was like a cattle call that came to town for anyone could go and audition for this thing, and I loved improv comedy, so I was like, I'm gonna go try that, But what else am I gonna do? I was at home, my 3 older brothers beating the crap out of me. Sometimes they would do it on the lawn out front, and then they'd call the cops, but the cop that would come was our dad. Horrible. Oh, yeah, that will go with me to my grave, which might be later today if I tell you that line.
No, Disney's asking. I think we're also not asking.
Yeah, no, yeah, I really, literally, there's like 5 people that know that line.
Well,
But I respect them. They were very lovely to me, and I'm going to do what they say. Yeah, because they're, they can be scary too, right? I know they're Disney, but like, ooh, yeah. I was walking down the street one day. If I told you that line, I'd suddenly see a little laser dot on my chest or something. Perfect.
guys,
Okay,
Global Fred Summit.
We didn't even get to talk about Global Freight. All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you.